What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is really moving it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 6.87%, 263 the low, 278 the high. So you did see a pullback today because of the Moody's downgrade on the States, as anticipated. But I think a lot of stocks are starting to recover, with exception of Lucid. So I'm going to go over what's really influencing them. There was one other thing that did come out over the weekend, though, that potentially could impact EVs, and that was this. So GM is wanting to pretty much go against California's EV mandate, and so they're kind of looking to push it or either potentially even cancel it. They do state that they believe in EVs, but with slowing EV sales, they want to again push or cancel it. And basically it is the 35% zero emission vehicle sales by 2026. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I find it funny how a lot of the legacy automakers are flopping on EVs, pushing it back themselves. So now they feel justified to try to change the mandate. Kind of comical how this is all kind of playing out, but at the end of the day, if they are successful, that would be a very big deal against, I guess, Tesla, Rivian, and also Lucid. They do cite Tesla and Rivian in here, just not necessarily Lucid, unfortunately. But again, it could really impact them. I think a lot of their sales do come from them. But aside from all of that, though, there isn't any news whatsoever associated to Lucid. No SEC filings or anything along those lines. So it is just kind of piggybacking off the broader market. But in Lucid's case, you're having shorts increasing 8.7 million shares. And I've looked at a dozen different like heavily shorted stocks today, and most of the shorts are returning, which again, if you kind of read between the lines, it shows that today's pullback isn't justified. With Lucid, I know when Peter was CEO, I said that Peter must have like really pissed off the wrong person, but with his departure, honestly, I think the only logical assumption now is whoever is shorting Lucid is trying to target the PIF. So as much as I guess the PIF is Lucid's saving grace, big brother behind us, they're probably also the culprit on why Lucid is heavily shorted. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. 8.7 million shares are being increased, but 29.05% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 358.21 million shares overall are being shorted. And just to kind of break that down on how impactful that is, currently there are 61.23 million shares being traded. So heavily volume day for that, but keep in mind this 8.7 million is net. That's already back and forth of them trading. So it's significantly higher than that on the overall volume. So shorts are making up a good chunk of today's volume. So at the end of the day, kind of crazy stuff, like I said. But 660,000 in calls, 402,000 in puts, 49% of all the options being done today are bullish in nature. So that is pretty interesting because it does go to show, despite the pullback, that there is a lot more upside anticipated. Based on the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 3 to 350 by the end of this week. So definitely a lot of optimism still on the table. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 250. So based on everything from that, at least, there is still a lot more upside anticipated. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000, majority of which are sells. So two buys right here, one for 271, other one for 160. Everything else is sells. So again, big money for whatever reason is also selling. Maybe there is some news that I'm not aware of, some speculative news, but I've looked at everything and I don't see anything like new that would really impact the price today. So kind of weird, like I said, but right now with that 265, it is right above this R1. So 264 is going to be a key support and pivot for Lucid, at least for the intraday for today. Then 278 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And so that obviously was also the high for today as well. So both very strong support and resistance points. We'll kind of have to wait and see what does come next, whether this support does break or potentially we do see a very nice recovery. But the whole rest of the week is just a bunch of Fed speakers and technicals. So again, as I mentioned yesterday, it's going to be a lot of volatility, but I think overall there should be at least a nice recovery. No new analyst ratings, and like I said, no articles really even coming out about Lucid whatsoever. So it's simply just at the mercy of the broader market, and I guess essentially shorts as well. Right now though, $2.65 is that 100-day moving average right here. So it was wedge bound, and it still kind of is between that 200 and 100. If this 100 is to break, then it will just be kind of trading between that 50-day moving average, which right now is at 241, and then that 100. So it's kind of, like I said, it's a weird type of scenario that's playing out. I think there's a lot of optimism and stuff that's building for Lucid, but now institutions and retail, they need something. Like I know Lucid investors, including myself, have speculated quite a lot through the coming years, various partnerships. And I think that's the downside of Lucid, is that a lot of its own investors have to do like significantly greater DD than if you invested in, let's say, Apple, because you kind of have to piece things together to try and figure it out. Lucid isn't forthcoming with a lot of their information. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they are kind of worried that it is going to flop and then it'll be seen in a negative light. I'm not really sure. But at the end of the day, Lucid really does need to incentivize that they are moving in the right direction, put out better PRs, because their PRs, to be fully honest, have sucked. Like their official stuff, whoever manages their Twitter and their social media is completely different from the one that is responsible like putting out official news. Last news came out May the 8th, and it's just about them opening up some studios. Unless these studios are like going to be the big ones that is going to make up like 80% of all their sales, I don't really see why they even needed to put out this news. So I think Lucid does need to really step up their marketing, their PR, just to incentivize some buying. That way shorts won't be able to dictate what does happen at the end of the day. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? What's your general thoughts on Lucid? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.